Welcome to American Narratives, where we talk about the bold, unexpected, and deeply human side of career change. I'm Marianne Pina.
And I'm Joe Fracham. This season, we're doing something a little different. We're hitting pause on the linear success story and hitting play on the pivot.
Because let's be honest, life rarely goes according to plan. Sometimes we choose change, and sometimes change chooses us. But either way, those turning points shape who we are and how we lead.
American Narratives was created by CMP to share real stories of identity, resilience, and leadership. And this season, we're zooming in on the moments when people pivot the script.
You'll hear from leaders, executives, change makers, and everyday people who've reinvented their careers and themselves with clarity, courage, and a whole lot of honesty.
So, if you're in the middle of a change, considering one, or just curious how people bounce forward, not back, you're in the right place.
Let's get into it. This is American Narratives Season 4. Welcome to American Narratives. I'm Marianne Pina.
And I'm Joe Fracham. And today we have Pricilla Guasso.
Welcome, Priscilla.
Thank you. So great to be here.
Priscilla Guasso is a leadership catalyst, author, and the visionary founder of Latinas Rising Up and Human Resources. With nearly 2 decades of experience shaping inclusive workplaces across tech, healthcare, and hospitality, Priscilla has built a global movement empowering Latinas to lead with purpose and rise with courage. As CEO of Manifesting Leadership Group, she's redefining what leadership looks like, grounded in authenticity, community, and transformation. Get ready for an inspiring conversation about representation, resilience, and the power of telling your story. I look forward to this. This one's fun.
I love it.
Yeah,
Thanks for
absolutely.
having me. I can't wait. Let's dive in.
Yeah, we'll kick off with some rapid fire questions,
All right.
okay? We want to get to know a little bit more about Priscilla. So tell us, what was your first job?
My first job out of college was working with Hyatt Hotels Corporation. I was at the Hyatt Regency O'Hare.
Okay.
And I just wanted to get my foot in the door. So I started off in the catering and event space
I love it.
and really learned the insides and out of how to plan a good event. I used to work with my abuelita, and she had her own business back in the day doing that. But it's different when you're helping your abuelita, your grandmother, and then you're helping a corporation.
Yeah.
Oh,
But I got
absolutely.
to blend both worlds.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
nice.
I love it. As a teenager, what were your career aspirations?
The biggest thing was I just wanted to make a difference. I had gone to an event one time and I saw a lady that had dark hair like me, dark brown eyes, and she was speaking. And she was saying how we all could do whatever it is that we want. And I wish I could remember till this day who she was, but it was how she presented. And I go, one day I would love to do that. Not necessarily the speaking part, it's more of the impact of what she shared and how she moved in me in that moment of, well, I may not know exactly what I want to do right now, but what I know is it's going to be impactful.
Wonderful. Tell me, what's your favorite movie?
Oh, my favorite movie is The Notebook. Yeah,
Okay, good one.
We're gonna go personal for various reasons.
Oh, that's a flash from me.
I know. Favorite book or author?
Oh, favorite book, I would say I have to go with ours. With Latinas Rising Up in HR, because of the fact that we have so many beautiful stories embedded in the books that we have. And it really, the reason our book is the way it is because I've read so many great people that I feel like I have a little bit of all of them in what we did.
I can see that. Favorite music or band?
Let's see. We'll go back. We'll do flashbacks for right now. When I first was listening to music and following folks, it was Ace of Base. So we're just gonna go backwards.
Is it
Okay.
Ace of Face, Ace of Base?
Ace of Base.
Yeah, it's Ace of Base, right, yeah.
Yeah, for CD.
Well, another flashback. I love Notebook. We're seeing some certain age kind of criteria here. I love it.
That's all right.
I love it. Okay, so let's go into your personal narrative. Tell
Yeah,
us
let's
where did you grow up? Who were some major influences in your life?
Yeah, I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. We have to be very specific because when you say Chicago, they're like, well, where exactly?
Yeah.
So I grew up on throughout, whether it's Palatine, Rolling Meadows, Hoffman Estates, all in that space. And we moved a lot, so I learned to get to know people really well very quickly, and more than anything, be in your seat of asking a lot of questions. But I would say, that was part of my growing up. And then, sorry, what was the other part of your
Who were
question?
some key influences
Key
in your
influences.
life?
Key influences. Starting off would be my parents. That was my first direct hit. My dad was our first in our family to go to college. Engineer, very practical, big on education, and my mom didn't, so it was first generation on her side, going to college. But she taught me love, care, empathy, and so between both worlds, I feel like I have everything with them. But as I grew in my career, I've had some phenomenal people help me. There's one that comes to particular, Doug Patrick. He was an SVP at Hyatt, and he took me under his wing and really developed me and grew me. And he may not know how much he impacted me, but I know how much he impacted my career and my life. Another person would have been Salvador Mendoza. He was one of the first Latinos in my career that lifted me up and literally got me my ticket into Hyatt. He pretty much opened the door, I should say. And there's quite a story there too with him as well. But a lot of great men and that have helped me in my career that, I mean, I would be here all day on the podcast sharing who they are. So we'll stop there.
I love it.
That's good. Well, okay, so you're being raised in Chicago. And by the way, now you're in Miami.
Yes.
So there's a lot between, right?
Yes.
And now you're an entrepreneur. We're going to get to all of that. We're going to talk about some of those pivots and stories and learnings, and that's beautiful stuff. But where you went to college. Where'd you go to college, and what was your major?
University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana, so go Illini. And I studied marketing. And the reason I studied marketing is I loved how it is the psychology behind why people buy things, what they do. I almost went into advertising, but I'm not creative with like drawing and.
Yeah.
But I thought I loved the psychology and the strategy behind marketing, and I thought, well, maybe one day I'll be working marketing in an association of some sort. But definitely made a pivot from that.
Yeah, that's right. And you're not the only one, by the way. You know, you get a degree. Often you chose 18. You don't know what you don't know, right? So you take a degree, and ultimately you pivot from there. And that's why we talk about pivots, by the way. What was your first job coming out of college?
First job out of college would have been there at Hyatt. That was my first job. I worked in Walgreens and New York and Company before all of that.
Sure.
I helped at my grandmother's business with her banquet hall. But the first professional one would have been with Hyatt. And I had to find my way there. One day I found out that Hyatt's headquarters were in Chicago. And in my school, they're like, you just need to put a black suit on and just show up. And I don't think they literally meant that to me. But I took it literally, and I went to Hyatt's headquarters.
Good for you.
Looked up some people there, and they gave me the time of day. And that's actually how I met Salvador Mendoza. I found him online as well as others and said, I'm downstairs. Do you have 5 minutes? And they did. They gave me more than that. And till this day, that's actually why I have such a great heart and connection to Hyatt, is because they truly did follow through with the things that they say they do. And they gave me the time of day, and I spent almost 12, 13 years there.
You seem to have, I'm going to say this because I know what you've done since then. You definitely have an action orientation. It sounds like you don't see a lot of boundaries and let's go.
No. Yeah, my husband would say she definitely doesn't have those kinds of boundaries. But I agree with you. And I think that's what has helped me in a lot of the changes in my career and even in my life of why not? Why not try?
Yeah.
The worst that'll happen is the door will close, but there's 10 more other doors to go try for them.
No, we find that's one of the biggest predictors of career success is that gas pedal versus a brake. I think that's fantastic. So you were there 14 years. We did a little pre-talk.
Yeah.
So you were 14.
Yeah.
You had a couple of pivots within Hyatt. Can you tell us about those?
Yes, so I started off in the catering and convention space. From there, went to Hyatt during the recession that we had. They almost let me go, and I said, I can do anything. Put me anywhere. And so they actually put me at another hotel, and I was a shuttle driver. I was a front office agent, and I helped clean rooms. I said, I don't care, and got paid the same. It was amazing. But then they said, Priscilla, where do you want to go? We see you in HR. And I had never thought of that as a career, as an option. But as I wanted to be that wedding planner, I think J-Lo was very famous at that time with the wedding planner. And that's what I wanted to do. But I realized it was too late of nights. I would be working many, many nights, and that's not the lifestyle I wanted if I were to have a family or even just for myself. So I said, let's try this HR thing, and I can plan events for our employees. And so I used those skills and did internal events and employee engagement and realized, oh my goodness, there's so much more to HR than what I even know. There's employment, there's talent acquisition, recruiting, there's the workers' compensation, there's employee relations, when there's things get a little heated, there's compensation. I mean, there's so many components. I go, well, why don't I take my career this way? There are some late nights, so don't think it's a 9-to-5 job by any means. But I realized this is actually where my skill set is best for. And I got to use my Spanish, which I never really thought about before until working in the hotels and seeing how I could impact just that one skill. Didn't realize how many doors that would open, not for me, but for our community there in the hotel, and ultimately help the business.
So it's great. So someone else saw it in you. It's something they said you and human resources need to come together, and they were right.
They were right.
They were absolutely right. And you shared a little bit about what attracted you to human resources, but it was the people side. I'm going to try to summarize it here. It seems like, event planning, the hospitality industry, if you don't like people, you're not going to be doing any of that.
No.
So there's some element of people, connection with people, gas pedal then brake, that really work for you in human resources, it sounds like.
Yes, and I smile because you do have to love all people, meaning the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yep.
Sometimes I think, I love being, because I hear this all the time, I love being around people, and I go, but what about on their worst of days and their best of days? You have to be able to take all of that in and not make it very personal to yourself, because you will not survive.
Yes, that's right.
That is true.
So you checked all the boxes over time: employee relations, training and development, OD, so and that you kind of stayed then. You found your home in human resources. So you're at Hyatt, 14 years, I believe, right? And a big part of that was in human resources. Where'd you go next?
I made a pivot into healthcare. After being with Hyatt for so long, I say that they were such a great training ground for me to be able to touch everything in HR and learn other businesses like finance and operations. But I knew I needed to learn a different industry. And after that many years, I go, if I don't do it now, I don't know if it's ever going to happen. And so I made the transition and went into healthcare. And that's where I became a divisional director, VP of HR, where I had 9 different states. Healthcare during the time needed the support. The doors are always revolving, unfortunately, because not everyone can handle that space. And so I was able to use every piece of everything I learned to benefit the business, and realized, wow, this is a lot. But because the doors were always open, I was constantly recruiting and in employee relations. And that's when I realized, and that's why I smile, because you have to love people at their worst and at their best. And I realized I can do employee relations. I'm good at it, but that's not where my heart is.
Got it. Who was the hospital system?
It was actually through Enliven. It was assisted living.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was right during COVID. So that was the other component where it was really hard. And I was starting to see what was happening to different families, and then it started becoming more personal for me. And I just go, you know what, I think it's time for me to take a step back, because I'm not becoming the best leader. And when your HR person starts feeling that way, they need to step away, because we all get burned out in our jobs. But you have to be very in tune as to when you're starting to feel that shift. And I left my career of 16 years at that time to then say, I need to take a pause. I'm purposely going to make this pause. And it was, I didn't even know COVID was around the corner. And that's when we had planned my exit. And I said, I'm ready to leave in April. And then COVID started happening in February, March. But I knew if I wanted to continue this career, I had to take a step away and take care of myself, because there was a lot of personal things happening. We were thinking about having a family. We were thinking of, I had to take care of my health, and it was not going to happen during that time. And so I knew it was time for me to make a step aside. I wouldn't even say a step back, a step aside.
It's funny. We have some parallel stuff. My last real job was in healthcare too.
Oh,
heading up HR, and that's a whole different story. And but it is a very stressful environment. Right. And for a variety of reasons, I think it's uniquely so. In the human resources side, there is a lot of attrition and all those other things that are, and what you do really matters to a lot of people in the community at large. So fascinating. So let's talk about this pivot, right?
Yes.
So this is your most recent one. It's not only career changing, but life enhancing. And a lot went behind you saying, I got to exit kind of the full-time job gig, right? Some personal reasons.
Right.
Tell us professionally, what went behind it? Why'd you make that decision? And in retrospect, as others think about a similar, maybe I want to step out of corporate America, what advice would you have for them?
Well, I would say do the thing that makes you scared. And you will grow from it. It will work out in the end over the long term. It will feel pain. You will feel pain, right? It's not going to be a magical thing that happens. But for me, when I took a step away, it was really hard. I actually have to put a little bit of my faith component in this, because I went on a missions trip right beforehand, and I go, is this the place? Is this the time? And I was like, God, please guide me on this decision. Where am I supposed to go? And I hadn't done that in my career. It was all, I got this. I'm moving up. It's going to happen. And I took a step back and I go, wow, I'm really leaving a career of 6 figures and structure and stability to follow a passion, to follow a calling. And I said, it's time, because I can also see what all the work that I'm doing is impacting my health too. And so I listened to God's divine moment and said, all right, I'm taking a step away. But with that, it's not a vacation. what are you going to doing during this time that you get, because time is valuable. It doesn't mean just because you're not getting paid, well, you're on this sabbatical. And so I said, if I'm going to take this time off, it's going to be with purpose. And during that time, that's when Latinas Rising Up in HR was born. And that's where my passion, I realized, wow, part of my purpose in life is to lift more of our community as Latinas, like me in my career, and also show the ones that have already done it, because I want to refuse to believe that I was the only executive out there that had made it. And it was a matter of finding, who are they? Where are we? Make the call.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Every story has its own. This one's great because it wasn't like you knew exactly what you were going to do. No. I just know that I needed a change.
Right.
I felt inspired and prompted. So I'm going to step forth in faith. Mm-hmm. And then as you step forth in faith, the answers came.
Yep.
And it was maybe a set of answers you probably couldn't have come up with fully on your own. So it came from somewhere else. Because honestly, I saw Latinas Rising in HR, and my first thought was, this about a year ago, what a novel concept, right? I wouldn't have thought of that. But I'm sure there's a real population for that, right?
There's a reason for it, absolutely.
There's a reason for it, right? So that's your story, is I step forward, and now I'm inhabiting this new space. Tell us more about what you're doing now, then.
So after I followed that prompt and that calling, and still scared in my boots of, where is this going? How is it going to happen? And everyone asking questions, what's next? And I'm going, I don't know. I'm experimenting. We're going to see where this takes us. All I know that it's the core of it is connection. The core of it is development. The core of it is, how do we lift others around us, and also not do it just amongst ourselves, but also bring our friends and family and allies that are part of this, because we're so intercultural as Latinos. But also, like I mentioned in my story, I didn't move up in my career because I stuck with all Latinas and Latinos in my life.
That's right.
On the contrary, I needed to get out there and be with other folks in other communities, in the Asian community, in the white community, in the Black community, and a lot of my friends are from all those spaces, my colleagues, my coworkers. And so I'm also embedding that in what we do, which is a little different than what I've seen in other communities within our space. And I think that's also what drives the difference in what we do. And we bring in that culture component with our career, because there is nothing like this. Right. And so to your point, it was time, it is time. I feel like we've been doing it organically out there, but we needed one place to come. And I'm now seeing, like, as I literally see the light, I'm like, we're just the light, and we're bringing everyone to it, and we're going to continue to see where this evolves to.
Yeah, so this is, it's not only what you said, but how you said it. You're all lit up, right? You're like a lot of movement.
On fire.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, so she's found it, whatever it is, right? Because you're kind of like low ebb when it talked about my last year at my job or whatever the time horizon. Now I'm fired up. You stepped into faith. You're working. You're building it. Tell us more about what you're building. What is the need out there? And what do you see happening over the next few years to support that need in community?
Yeah, right now the biggest need is the connection component, that we're not alone. I think sometimes when we're in our homes or in our jobs, we can fester into these moments and thoughts of, oh, I'm by myself. And it can be for what it doesn't just need to be your career. But I think the real change, the movement happens when you realize, I'm not alone. There are other people out there. I don't need to be alone. Mm-hmm. On the contrary, I'm very big about community. And I don't mean just our community as Latinos. I need community of people. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I'm hoping, is that this can be a place where we can remove these masks in HR, because we tend to do that a lot, because we build up these walls to protect ourselves and also what we're doing, our sanity sometimes as well. But I want this to be a place where we do break down those walls. There is vulnerability, because then there's true movement and growth, not just in your career, but even at home. Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of ladies come to different events and workshops that we're doing on their development, but it's not just about the career development. It seeps into their marriages, it seeps into their kids, in a good way, right? And if we can help them be better people overall, they're going to be better HR professionals. But there hasn't been real places where we can do that, especially specifically in our community as HR Latinas. And so my hope is that we do that, but then we also bring others along to learn about our stories, to empathize with what we've been through, but not stay there. Right? We're continuing to grow and move and make action.
American Narratives is brought to you by CMP. For over 25 years, CMP has provided talent solutions for companies across industries. We have a presence in every region in the United States and globally.
CMP provides innovative, high-impact solutions across the full talent lifecycle. This includes enhancing careers while mitigating the risk of a downsize event through high-touch, high-tech outplacement and career development offerings, taking the guesswork out of hiring through high-definition recruiting and predictive assessment, and building capability through assessment, coaching, and training solutions.
And as a minority and woman-owned firm, we are deeply committed to making our world a better and more inclusive place.
Please visit us at careermp.com, where you'll find a number of resources to support your talent and development needs. Again, careermp.com.
Hope to see you soon.
Well, and one is, I think you're absolutely right. My limited kind of outside-in perspective, I think it's a brilliant. You're creating spaces for like and common people to come together to help each other connect and grow. And it's a group that doesn't naturally do that, but needs to do that. Is what I hear you saying. Is it primarily human resource, or do you kind of work cross-discipline or cross-functional with other Latinos, or is it still pretty much human resources space that you're working in?
So my focus is specifically on human resources, but I have DEI in there. I have corporate social responsibility, because every company, HR does a little bit of everything. Different,
that's right.
right? And sometimes they have their own functions and they're not part of HR. But I've opened it up and said, hey, if you're part of these functions, come join us. We will partner and learn about those functions and those areas to be better business leaders, because I don't believe we need to stay in just the HR space. I'm constantly saying, I didn't share this, but I first studied computer science. So I have this little engineering background me and tech. Wow. And so that's the other thing that I try to bring with them is say, ladies, we need to get more connected to technology, because unfortunately not all HR professionals love tech and stay in their spreadsheets and their Word docs. And I'm like, we got to do something different. And so I'm really trying to change what that conversation, the learning is. But all to say, again, what I'm truly trying to do at the end of the day is create the space where we're learning, we're growing, we're developing, and we're creating community in the personal aspect too.
All right. So one of the things we found is, we've done a lot of career assessments. We work in the career space. You can't really fulfill and self-actualize in your career without taking some risk, without a couple of pivots along the way, and taking some bold moves, etc. And you've just shared a really bold move from you. You've also been in a lot of venues where you've talked to, uniquely so, a lot of human resource professionals. What advice, what are your learnings and advice as far as taking risks, stepping forward, and initiating pivots would you give to others who are listening to this, to our audience?
The other pivot I wanted to share with you is I was laid off when I went back to work. So I started Latinas Rising Up in HR and then said, this is wonderful. It's my passion. It's what I love. But my expertise and my function and my skill set is still in HR, and I want to keep practicing. Good. So I went to CDW, a tech company. That's where my tech experience comes from, and worked with them for about 2.5 years and then got laid off, unfortunately. And I say it that way because at the time I thought, this is so hard. I loved the company. I loved the people. How could this happen? And these moments of emotion started coming up, of grief. And realizing, though, at the time, there's, again, my pillar of faith is there is a reason behind it, and you will prevail. You will persevere. Don't get stuck in this has happened to me. And I think that's the caveat, that difference, and that advice that I would share is, go through your grief, because we all need to go through it. I'm not saying ignore it, hide it, because we can also do that, and that's not healthy either. But take your time, work through it. If you need to get therapy, if you need to find your core people around you, you need to let it all out, do it, but move. Action, create what's going to come next. And that's the part I think for me that really changed, because the minute when that happened, I realized this is not a personal decision. It's now, I have to, what am I going to do with this? Am I going to stay in this, or am I going to evolve and take this to whatever that next level is? And during that time, it was perfect timing, because I then found out I was having my daughter. And I go, you know what? I have Latinas Rising Up in HR, and I hadn't been able to focus so much on that. I'm going to have my beautiful daughter that we've been wanting to have for 8 to 9 years. So that was quite a while, and a great surprise. And now what's going to happen next? And so now it's giving me another moment to pause on what's important in life, shift, and realize, well, now I'm going to do HR fractional work. Doesn't mean I stop working. I don't have to be with a big corporation. I'm going to do my own. And that's when I started Manifesting Leadership Group. And now with my clients in nonprofit and corporate and in government, I'm going, wow, I don't have to be behind a big name. Priscilla is the brand. And she can bring other people with her, because I have other Latinos from actually my book, and people that I know in my HR space that are not Latinos, that we all are all practitioners of HR. And we're like, why don't we do this together? We love each other. We are listening to each other. We have great best practices in businesses that we can help one another with. And let's move. Let's do something. And after all of these pivots, I realized more for me, if it's not joyful, if I don't feel genuine with the people I'm working with, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Life is too short. My job is not my everything. It's one part of Priscilla, but there's many pieces to it. And I allude back to my faith. God has put me here for a purpose, and it's not just my job. But I do love what I do.
Yeah, these are great insights. It's funny because you had one self-initiated and one other-initiated
Right.
pivot,
Right.
and which is so much the story of so many careers. Well, at least the other-initiated, right? I mean, we help people who have been laid off, thousands a year, and it's fascinating how you go through that natural shame, hurt, denial, anger. You got to start taking steps, even if it's a small one. You're depressed, you're down, it's a tough week. Even if I got to edit my resume, I got to talk to someone, I got to reach out to 2 people today. If you get stuck, you get stuck. But you showed that you can start moving forward into something much more exciting, actually, and that's what you did.
Bring it to the light. Don't let those feelings, emotions fester in the dark. Tell people close to you. I love when I see people that have lost their jobs and they're on LinkedIn and they're sharing, I'm ready to pivot and this is what I want. That's the other part is being able to articulate what you want next. I think a lot of times we're like, well, nobody's helping me. And because we got to get clear on what we need help with. I think many people want to help. Right? I think that's their desire, their innate desire to want to support you. But if they don't know what you want and how you need that support, they're not going to.
Totally. In fact, if there's one thing, if you've been affected by a layoff, I couldn't agree more. One is tell people.
Yes.
Don't hide it. Don't get scared. Don't hide under the bed. Don't be shamed. We've all been there, and people want to help. And you send out, I send that just change everything. When people send out 20 emails to their closest friends saying, hey, I'm looking for my next, I'm a free agent, however you want to position it. And all of a sudden, most of them get back to, hey, how can I help? Or I'm going to make an introduction.
Right.
All of a sudden, you start getting hopeful and excited. And maybe this is the best thing that ever happened, but you got to take action first.
Yeah.
Which you did. So that's fantastic. And you're excited about where you're at right now.
Oh, I love it. My biggest thing right now has been community. That's the other thing I wanted to share is don't wait till it's too late to build your community. And when I say community, that could be your network, that could be your board of directors, whatever you want to call it. For me, it's community because it's not just about my career. It's people that have my best interest and want to support me. And for instance, there's days where I'm going, I don't think I'm the best mom today. And so I'm calling some close people to be like, it's okay. You're being mom, you're being business owner, you're doing it all. And it's going to be hard and you're going to have hard days. Or there's moments where, oh, am I going to get that client? Is this going to work out? Is this business going to grow? Speaking to people that are, again, close to you for different reasons that can help lift you up in those moments. But it requires vulnerability. It requires you to be honest and share and be the one to share. And because sometimes, again, we want to help everyone, but sometimes it's good for you to just share what do you need help with. We don't think it's kind of one of the things we lean back on when in our conversations is how can I support you, and being clear on that.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things that I love about Latinas Rising Up in HR, which I want you to elaborate a little bit more because this movement is tremendous and needed for Latinas, not just from a state to state concept, but internationally as well. When I think about the people that we've supported, we have Latinas, Latinos all across the globe. So Priscilla, please do take a couple of minutes, share more. What is your vision for Latinas Rising Up in HR?
Oh, my vision is I don't have a specific date time stamp, right? But I do have the impact in my mind where we become the number one place where Latinos and Latinas come to that are from HR globally that connect, and which means you could be a Colombiana from Colombia in Mexico. And you're not from Mexico, but you're learning the culture, you're learning the people, you're in HR, and you may feel like a fish out of water because you don't have your own people there. You have the language, our cultures are somewhat similar, but there's a lot of differences. Food, even how we speak in our language, but that you still find a home. And my hope is that they can find connection with us, and that while you may be in another country, you still have people from your own country, but then you can still relate to where you're at. So I don't see it being just a U.S.-centric focus. I see us going global, really being that support again for building that community, that they develop each other. So what does HR look like in Brazil? What does HR look like in Colombia, in Ecuador, and then what we see here in the U.S. So that way we take off that handkerchief on our face and just say, nope. I could go anywhere in HR, but I do need to learn the laws and the nuances in each of the countries. And I have a community behind me that'll support me when I need help, because not everyone knows everything. I think that's the biggest secret out there, right? Everyone's like, I figured it out. I don't know. You don't have it figured it out. We're all figuring it still out. But that you have a place where you can come back to and say, I have my hands up. I need help. Can someone tell me what the local legalities are when it comes to the workplace? OSHA here in the U.S., but what does that look like in other places, in other countries? And you can keep growing. You can keep developing. And at the end of the day, we see greater representation of our community in executive levels, and we'll do that through all the work that we've started with.
And I know you've been getting a lot of recognition lately. So you got a call from someone really important.
Yes.
Other than us, because of course we're
Yes, that was
Besides
yes,
us.
I'm here. I'm coming. Yes, we got a call from the ex-president of Mexico, El Presidente Fox, and reached out to us and said, I heard about the work that you're doing. I would love to learn more how we can connect here in Mexico. And I almost didn't respond to that email because I go, this has got to be spam. I looked at it. It didn't seem very official to me at the beginning. And I'm going, where is this coming from? And when I dug in a little deeper, I said, worst case scenario, it's not real, but I'm going to show up and I'm going to present myself and share what we have. And I actually brought two other ladies, my authors, with me and said, hey, I don't know where this is really going to go, but we come prepared.
Sure.
Will you come with me? Because I couldn't do it by myself. Of course I could do it by myself. But again, it's about community. And I said, and how cool if it's true that we would be on this call together with the ex-president of Mexico. And it was true. He was there. I was like, this is not AI, this is real. So we were there with him and his chief of staff. He was so pleasant, so wonderful. He's done, he's a very impactful leader in the corporate space out in Mexico and globally. He's doing a lot more here, even in Dallas specifically. Yeah. And so he has shared with us, how can we lock arms next year? And so our plan is to go to Mexico next year, present our books to him to put in his presidential library, which is the only presidential library in Mexico right now, and see where things take us. But yes, thanks for sharing that. It was a moment where even still to this day, I'm still going, wow, did that really happen?
That's pretty wild, man.
Yeah.
And you talk about obviously where there's high Latino populations, but what about those cities where there's low Latino populations, right? There's 7 or 8 states in the U.S. where it's huge, Texas, Florida,
right.
But then you got Ohio.
Yep.
You got Minnesota, right? You fill in the rest of the states where it's maybe 3%, 4%. Don't they need community?
100%. Everyone needs community. Yeah. A lot of the programs that we do, we also do virtual to make sure that they have exposure to it. And so while we're looking at the main cities today, the idea is that we then grow based on where the community wants us to move.
Cool.
So we've actually have a call out to ambassadors where we have ambassadors in different cities. Yeah. And I don't have a template of, we need to be in this city, we need to be in this city. If I get someone from one of those small cities that wants to be an ambassador, I say go for it, raise your hand, and you don't have to be at a certain level to be an ambassador. We have GHR officers to, I just started in HR and I don't know what I'm doing. And I say do it because that's going to grow your network nationally and now globally as we grow. And so I say just do it. Like, similar to what we're saying, just move on it, just do it. I keep laughing as I say that because I'm like, oh, Nike's always in the back of my head. I just do it, just make it happen. That's probably the athlete side of me.
There it is. No, I love it. Yeah, and so what I love is there's an adaptive strategy. People get too rigid.
Yeah.
And in our own business, we found that one is you have to have a blueprint, but not a rigid step by step, because you've got to be. There's no way you can manage all the variables. And so you got to be opportunistic, but know what you're about and what your value is, et cetera, which sounds like you're right on go. Very entrepreneurial for someone who grew up in corporate America. Hyatt.
Well,
very entrepreneurial.
As you say that, I remember even my husband has his own business, and I remember saying, I can't believe I married an entrepreneur. This is not what I signed up for. And then it's funny because now when we speak, I go, wait. I never thought I would be that. I always said, I'm not going to be the entrepreneur. I'm going to stay in corporate. And realizing, again, the pivots, the changes, never say never. Because you also don't realize what's going to evolve, what's going to change, what's going to be your focus after a few years. And I love the corporate side, and I continue to work through it. And maybe I'll go back. Who knows? I'm still working with them from a fractional standpoint. but I'm also now using this whole other lens of my brain and my eyes of, oh, I can do so much other impact. And it's so beautiful because there's no staying in the lines. It's like, Priscilla, like the Band-Aid's off. What do you want to do?
Right.
And that's the beauty, I think, what I didn't realize in entrepreneurship that I am enjoying is the ability that there's you can do anything. It's going to require work. It's going to be hard, but it's possible.
Oh, no,
with
but
the right
it's-
people around you too.
Oh, absolutely.
It's meaningful as heck. And now, as a result of those decisions, you're sitting here on a Friday afternoon, for better or worse, talking to two people you kind of just met, about kind of what you're up to, which is what entrepreneurs end up doing. They jump into a lot of different bubbles and do a variety of different things, and you learn to love that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
'Cause-
in addition to that, I would also say someone that values the network, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
really cool. Well, okay, two more questions. Yeah,
for it.
and then we're going to ask them where they can find you and learn more, etc. What advice then, if you had to distill it down to some golden nuggets for our audience that you want to leave them, given your journey thus far, what you've learned, what you've heard, because you've really had a unique kind of set of inputs over, especially the population we've been talking about. What advice would you give them?
I would say it's great to have a plan. It's great to have a plan, but be ready to pivot. And it may be because of your career, it may be personal, but it's okay. It's going to be all right. Just understand why you're making the pivot or why it was done. Go through it, go through the emotion, but understand at the end. And for me, again, this is my own lived experience. It has never set me the wrong way. Every pivot, there was something I had to learn, something I had to grow through, something I had to confront, perhaps, something I had to change. And as long as you look at it in that lens, I think any pivot is there's always going to be something better on the other side of it. So I would say, and to try to stay as positive, and if you can't, put people around you that help lift you up and do that for you or feed encouragement into you, because we're human. There's moments where I remember being on the bathroom floor and be like, what am I doing? And even still to this day.
Sure.
But there's great people that remind you of who you are, the things that maybe sometimes you don't see in yourself. And so that would be the next nugget, is be very, very intentional on why you have certain people around you. And before, it used to be, I need everyone around me because I'm quite the extrovert. I love being everywhere. And over the last 5 to 6 years since I've been on this journey, I've realized it's not about quantity. It never has been. It's truly quality. It's truly action and intention. And as long as you continue that, you're gonna go down the path that you're meant to be down.
Couldn't agree more. I think everyone has an energy, positive, negative, or neutral. And I hate saying that, but it's just true. Right?
true. We
Everyone
talk about it all the
matters.
time.
We love them all, but those that uplift and I can uplift
Yep.
are the ones that's
Yes.
going to be positively generative.
Yes.
Couldn't agree more. Where do they find you? Say they want to
Yeah.
stay connected with you, learn more about.
Be an ambassador. Where do they go?
Yes. So to connect directly to me, I'm always active on LinkedIn. So you can find me on there, and then we can take it into email, phone call, wherever from there. But I like to know who I'm talking to. So it's
Sure.
nice to have that background. And then as far as Latinas Rising Up in HR, you don't have to go through me. We have a great community. And I would say just go to www.latinasrisingupinhr.com. You'll find our application there and all the programs that we have, whether it's joining our mentorship circle, whether it's becoming an author. I know many of our ladies are like, I've never thought of doing that. And I go, it's so great. It's also very therapeutic. And it's good for us all to know our story, right? What is it, that message that you want to share? And that helps with that. And lastly, you'll learn about all the activities and the events that we have and who we partner with and again, our growth, what our future growth is going to look like.
Oh, that's very cool. I'm excited.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Priscilla.
Thank
Love
you,
it.
Marianne.
Thank you so much.
Thank
It's
you,
been
Jill.
great. A lot of it. So more to
Stay
come.
tuned.
Visit Priscilla. And I know I will be. She's now part of the CMP familia.
Yes.
So welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thanks.
American Narratives is brought to you by CMP, a talent and career transition firm providing solutions across the full talent lifecycle.
From recruiting to talent development to outplacement, we help leaders improve our world through deep insights and impactful talent solutions.
For more information, visit us at careermp.com.